Hello and welcome to Diamonds in the Rough talk show where every woman shines. I am your host, Charmaine Powell, and I am so ecstatic to be with you today for our first segment, Empowering My People. My very first guest is a very special person I met maybe a couple weeks ago. Her name is Beverly Burgess, a resident here in Orlando, Florida, and she has so much to talk about. Miss Beverly, how are you doing today?
Fine, and thank you for having me. How you doing?
I am doing great. Thankful for this day that we have to do this show, and I'm just ready to hear what you have to tell the people today.
Okay.
So, Miss Beverly, tell us a little bit about your background. What do you do?
What do I do? Okay, I'm a former state and federal grant writer. I teach people how to get grants to start their own companies. I teach you the language of the grant, what is required in your paperwork, what nonprofits are, what they're looking for in order to award that money to a nonprofit.
Wow.
I don't do small grants. I do multi-million-dollar grants.
Wow.
I worked for the state of Florida for 12 years. I worked in and out of HUD private Section 8 for 31 years. So I bring 43 years to the table.
Okay.
And, I've seen it all, done it all. To me, in the industry of grant writing, there is no stupid question. I took it from there and started a little group on Facebook called Grantwriters of America, GWOA.
Okay.
Angela McCullough and I started with 177 people. We just broke 3,000 again a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
In 2 years, 2 very, very short years.
Wow.
So that tells us that people are asking for the information. They want to be knowledgeable. They want to know if there's grants for, nonprofits and for-profit businesses. But what I especially enjoy doing is helping our veteran business owners get grants.
Oh, yes.
Yes, that's what I like to do.
Okay. Well, we had a conversation. I interviewed you last week, and you talked a lot about your politics.
Yes, I did.
You have a lot of experience. So just tell us your background, how your upbringing at your home.
Well, and politically, I was brought up in a Democratic home. I was taught certain things and never really asked any questions. I was a Democrat for 34 years. Then I began to look at my community, and I began to wonder, well, why are we lacking so many things, in the black community? There was very little engagement. People really didn't talk to us unless they wanted our vote. So I began to question that. And, then I went and talked to the Republicans. And I never knew in all my years of going to school, Martin Luther King was a Republican. They didn't teach us that. They didn't tell us that. So I had issues with both parties.
Right.
And I said, you know what, when it comes right down to it in the black community, where's our infrastructure? Where's our engagement in the community? You're not engaging me. You're not knocking on my doors like you're knocking on doors in Lake Nona.
That's right.
If you want my vote, if my vote matters that much to you and you say every vote counts, then you need to come and have a conversation with me, eat some ribs, have some collard greens, kiss some babies,
All right. That's right.
and engage me. If you can't engage me, my motto is, don't ask me for my vote in 2020.
Y'all heard it. Don't ask me for my vote if you
Amen.
cannot come forward and do what you're supposed to do. Amen. That's good. That's good. Well, tell me about your father. You talked a little bit about he was doing ribs when you growing up.
Well, my dad used to own Black Man's Barbecue. He became very famous for taking ribs out to President Clinton. And he started on the side of the road with a little business and a grill and built a massive empire in business before he got sick. My father catered to the Magic, did a lot of ribs for Shaq, Penny Hardaway, all the Magic team, the owners. Mayor Buddy Dyer was one of the first people that engaged my father and told my father he can help him expand that business from the side of the road into an actual business setting.
Look at that.
So I thank Mayor Dyer for doing that because he saw the potential in my father. The recipe my father created is 450 years old. It's been passed down from one generation to another. And so I took control of the business after my dad got sick, and we plan on bringing Black Man's Barbecue back. Even my pastor has said, when you bring this back, you will have the full support of this church. So we've been looking for a location to bring back the business because people have said, I don't know what's in that seasoning, but when you can eat ribs with no sauce, you know what you're doing.
All right.
And I'm a master on those collard greens and macaroni and cheese.
Well, we're going to have to be the judge of that. Wow. Well, it seems like your dad set the blaze for you. He set the path for you.
He did. My father never graduated from high school,
Wow.
but he knew enough that if he did not know what he needed to know, he would go ask questions.
Yes.
So we were brought up in the household that there was no stupid question.
Right.
If you don't know, just ask.
Yes.
So my father stood me at the counter, put an apron on me, showed me how to count money, how to say thank you, be polite to customers. That's where I really had my first experience with customer service, you know, how to handle difficult situations. So when my father really started it, he did start it back up in Georgia and brought it down here. We had Georgia Southern College. We had the whole campus.
Wow.
I mean, we would smoke ribs, shoulders, chicken until we ran out.
Yeah.
And we've had a lot of support. You know, a lot of people have said, you know, if you ever want to move back to Georgia, we got you. And, you know, but those, you know, there's such a thing as homegrown recipes, but there's also such a thing as just being homegrown. And, you know, my father taught me how to be respectful of people and to appreciate what you have, because some people wish they had what you had. And so, you know, even when you want to look down and complain, be grateful for what you have, because some people going hungry that night. I may not have wanted barbecue every day, but at least I was fed.
Exactly.
You know, so I was very appreciative as a child of what, you know, of eating what was in front of me and being thankful for that. And a lot of people just aren't thankful.
Yes, that's right. That is exactly right. And we do have to learn to be grateful, but like you say,